Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
What do you get when you mix two white boys, both named Mike? A thing for Justin Timberlake and a piercing above your eye. Was he high? Their stories alone could make you cry. That's when you want to make your Irish goodbye.
I'm excited.
I just hiked up my chair like 8 inches. I realized I was feeling really low, like just personally.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm also sitting 8 inches off the ground.
That's why Alex is frantically trying to readjust the cameras that she's so perfectly attuned to, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a fun thing. She spent at least 33 minutes trying to figure out the proper circle size of the Irish Goodbye logo in the corner.
Okay.
She was really setting everything up, and I ruined it in a matter of seconds.
I still think the lighting's a little better on your side, but mine is better than before. It was like hard, like I was like trying to lead you into an alleyway.
You do look like a little what do we do in the shadows or whatever.
Yeah,
but
a little dark.
In life, I was just gonna say you look tan. Like
Tan, huh?
you almost look like you've been reflecting with a tinfoil thing underneath you. Like
It's just the blood pressure, pal. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Irish Goodbye Podcast, a storytelling podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Feeney, being joined with me, as always,
by Mike Cannon.
Wow, and we're back in studio. First time this year.
Yeah, first time this year. Might be the last time.
Oh.
I mean, just in general, just in life sense. I don't know how much longer I'm going to last on this celestial plane, you know?
There's a bottle of Advil, 3 waters.
I'm threatening to overdose on Advil by the end of this.
Warmers.
There's hand warmers.
Oh, my God. I didn't even see the Advil that's on the table, like loaded, like a gun.
There's 9 individual pills right here to go at a moment's notice. I got the bottle there in case that doesn't do it for me. I got a mask, a hat.
What sort of pain are you
starter
in?
parka from the 90s. I don't know what I'm doing, dude. I'm on eBay just trying to buy everything that I didn't get as a youth.
Well, your hair's not dyed, so I feel like you're doing okay.
What do you mean?
Like mentally. Like when you come in with bright purple hair, I'm like, he's going through it.
I just I don't even have the strength to do that. That's where I'm at. It's not.
I like the beard though. The beard looks good.
Too.
You look stronger.
It's the only thing floating me at the moment. I gotta tell you, because all the dyeing my hair, that was kind of fun and manic and a bit like
manic for sure. Manic.
Like energy depressed.
Yeah.
Now I'm in like my Eeyore phase where I don't even know if I have to turn at a fork in the road, I might just go straight. Like Jay-Z says.
Just Sistine Chapel pose into the fucking...
Yeah. You know?
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we've been back
Clip it
here.
and send it to my wife, Alex.
You fix it. Alex, how are you doing? You're wearing 3 coats and a hat. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little chilly, but I'm doing okay.
All right. Love it. All right.
I like Alex's whole mode today, like her vibe. You know what I mean?
My Little Pony meets, Brooklyn.
TLC.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Lisa Left Eye Lopez fucked a Lisa Frank.
Yeah.
And then Lisa Turtle.
So, who's Lisa Turtle?
From Saved by the Bell.
Oh, that's her last name is
Voorhees.
Turtle. I've actually been watching a lot of Saved by the... I've watched more Saved by the Bell in the last 2 weeks than I have in my entire life because Erica they were doing a marathon during like the New Year's or Christmas or something like that. So they were just playing them on TV. And Erica at one point had it on for like 2 straight days. And I think I watched every episode of the show.
Had you not before that?
No, I never watched the show growing up. I was a cartoon kid.
No shit.
Yeah, and I never like, it was very few shows that could get away with the like hokey studio canned laughter thing. Like there was like Kenan and Kel and all that I kind of got into, but then I really liked Kenan and Kel. But like Seinfeld was more something I could do, but all the other like say something, pause for a long laughter, always just was kind of like I'm like
huh.
It was weird, but
I'm thrown by that. So, I mean, because Kelly Kapowski was such a major part of my masturbatory, like, coming of age.
Yeah.
Coming of age. But we harmonized.
Coming of age.
All right, things are looking up.
Put that hand warmer down. It's making me uncomfortable.
But I need some warmth.
Well, I have stories for days.
That's good.
Let me throw some of these at you because I think they'll pep you right up. Because this one, first and foremost, upon rereading it, you know when you write a note down and you're like, "What's the story to tell?" And then you go and you read. It feels like you're reading it for the first time, and then you get to the end, you're like, "Oh yeah." So
it's good that it reminds you because I sometimes read like "angry tree" and I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, I do have a note that says Krispy Kreme, and there's nothing with that. So, but apropos of nothing, the other night we were asleep, Erica and I, and one of my cats, Bella, now has been sleeping underneath the bed. That's been like her new thing. But then she like comes out. You know, like it feels like cats kind of have these patterns that they get into. At least mine do, where one of my cats will be like, she'll sleep on the computer chair every day for like 3 months, and then all of a sudden she's like on top of the bed for 3 months. She's nomadic, but very runs it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. She gets like new love interests every once in a while.
Yeah, and then becomes obsessed with it, right? So
I know that.
So whatever. So she was. I was in dead asleep, probably like 4 a.m. or something, and I wake up to the sound of Bella gagging, like right next to my head. They're like, and you have
so
like
hot.
you have like 2 to 3 seconds to just fling them off of the bed, so that way they don't, throw up all over you and the bed and anything. You want them throwing up on the ground, on tile if you can, so just a wipe situation.
I like that you aim it for a specific floor.
Oh, always. Oh, yeah. Whenever my cats are like on the rug throwing up, I like shove them onto the tile.
Do you have tile in your room?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because my apartment used to be a tile factory. And so...
What?
Yeah. So that's what they converted it to. And they're like, we got this.
And then they sold it to China, I bet.
It's very cold. But that said, so whatever. So I hear the sound of Bella gagging. And I just in one motion, just reaction, I just fucking spun in bed and went to reach to throw her off. And then as I reached over, just blasted Erica in the face. It was dead asleep. I just went over and was like, "Dah!" like that. And she was like, "Oh, my face." She screamed my face.
No.
Yeah. And then it turns out Bella was under the bed the entire time throwing up. So
you
she
struck your wife.
Good story to lead off with, though, right?
You're right. I no longer want to kill myself.
She woke up and was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "No, I thought the cat throwing up where?" And
Did she
was like,
two-piece you to get you back?
She was like underneath. Well, she did like a loud huff of a sigh, and then a tuck and roll.
A huff of a sigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so she was really upset. And then the worst part is the next day the puke was underneath the bed, which was like there's like shoe boxes down there, so you have to like crawl Mission Impossible style on your stomach to clean out the puke. It was
That sounds awful.
No, it was a living hell.
So I haven't hit Nicole in a while, but what I did do recently is I did almost give her pneumonia because I guess I'm allergic to down. Like I just have been sleeping with a down pillow for the last week. We stayed at my sister's for the last 10 days upstate. It was actually unbelievable. I'm having like a little postpartum now, I think.
Yeah.
That's kind of the come down mixed with some other shit. But it was such a fucking awesome week. And we also stayed, Nicole and I in her parents' house are staying in like a half a twin, like it's like an army cot. I'm basically she's inside of me from behind, so we can fit on the same bed. And then when we stayed at my sister's, I think it was like a queen bed, and I've just been starfishing and having the time of my life. But I didn't realize that like I'm allergic to down because I'll go to sleep total like freezing almost, and it's upstate New York, and I'm like all bundling up and shit.
Yeah.
And at like 4 a.m., we may as well be in a bathtub. Like I'm in freezing water sweat. And the entire bed is as well. And Nicole woke up with like blue lips and an icicle hanging off the tip of her nose. And she's like, "What the fuck happened?" And I'm like, "I don't know."
You sweat the bed?
I sweat the bed.
Wow.
I wanted to try. So I also went like 10 days without jerking off or having sex. It's just like, there's so many people around, a lot of family members. I didn't even know if my dick functioned by the time we got home because it was just like, you ever get numb dick? I tweeted about this, but do you ever get numb dick to where even while you're looking at it, you don't know if it's there or not?
I don't think that's phantom dick.
Yeah. So I'm just seeing an oasis.
Yeah.
I'm hallucinating
Your
my
desert.
own dick.
Yeah.
But like, my penis was so foreign to me besides pissing that I just was looking at it like like I didn't know it anymore. It was ridiculous. And so I was hoping that with that, like, with that break from both jerking off and sex, that I was going to have a wet dream, and I was trying to sweat dream, wet dream myself.
Oh,
but it
sweat
never
dream, wet dream.
happened.
It never.
I got close, actually. Weirdly enough, I had a sex dream, but I had a dream knowing that I was married, and I couldn't bring myself to do it.
What a good guy.
She ruins my dreams.
That's a true Italian to have fully infiltrated you.
Wow, she inceptioned me.
She went into the dream. Yeah, maybe.
Do you think?
What?
Do you think she just spins a fucking top every day and she's like, still going? I'm in his subconscious. That's the movie, right?
She wouldn't have the totem though.
Would I?
Yeah. That's the only way you know if it's.
What were you saying?
So I went to Mohegan Sun. I also want to clarify because we glossed over the end where you just went, you struck your wife or whatever. We did have a laugh about it, afterwards.
Oh, you hit it.
Yeah. It's not saying the way you're saying it. It was more of an accidental striking.
Listen, I broke my wife's nose when we were 12.
Did you?
Yeah.
Just because she disagreed with you?
No, because she dared shoot a layup and bring that shit in my house. So I spiked Spalding right on the bridge of her nose.
Did you? You never said this.
Like 4 times I've
Alex
broken her
is
nose.
shocked. Her jaw was wide open.
Really? You guys didn't know that?
So she was afraid to break up with you from then on.
No. We had other physical. No, I'm just kidding. We actually did when we were like 12 years old, since we knew each other since we were so little.
Yeah.
It's like I tried to joke about this on stage, but it never worked. But I was like, I'm married to the person I used to get into like sleigh riding fights with, like in snow, where I'd like flirt and we'd tackle each other and stuff like that. And then it would turn serious because she embarrassed me. And then she'd beat me up and I'd beat her up. And we were 12. And then we'd go back to our own houses. And now we're fucking and we have a kid. It's like such a weird.
Real Bob and Whitney situation going on. What was that?
Some romantic music in the background.
Alex, what's your
weird?
reaction to that?
I'm just kind of surprised that we've never heard about this before, but
Again, secretive Mike Cannon, as always.
You're right. I never tell you the good stuff. But I told you, I mean, Nicole is a really good basketball player when we grew up. And me, her, and my friend Timmy that all lived within like 4 houses of each other. We used to either go to Timmy's, Nicole's, even though she had the nicest basketball hoop, we rarely went there to play, or my house to play. And we'd play 21 all the fucking time. We'd play all day. And Nicole was tough as shit, but we used to beat the fuck out of her. Like we played her like she was a dude. That's why she made varsity as a freshman. It was because of me.
There you go. Take credit for any success. I encouraged her to open up her own small business, and now she's flourishing.
I trained her.
Yeah.
For greatness.
Sound like the Tiger Woods' dad.
I mean, I'm gonna tell a judge that someday when I'm trying to take half her business.
So let me get into Mohegan Sun here because there's a lot to unpack. But some of it we're gonna take this roller coaster is gonna dip into some angry waters.
Oh,
but
beautiful.
we're gonna finish off nice and happy though. So we go to comics. Sagalow and I'm headlining the weekend there. This was the first weekend of the new year. So I'm going there already being like, it's the first show, the first weekend after New Year's Eve, which is statistically like the worst weekend in comedy because everyone is like, I'm not spending any money anymore. It's a new year, new me. It's fucking January. We just spent all our money on New Year's parties or whatever the fuck. So
Sober January is also such a popular thing now that it's bleeding into our jobs.
Yeah, it's ruining that too.
Taking food out of my son's mouth.
So I was truly expecting it to be a very, just dead weekend. I didn't ask about the numbers the whole time because I'm like, don't even fucking tell me. But the good news is that they have even more limited capacity since the last time I went there. It's only 100 people is what they allow in now versus 150 the last time I was there, and normally I think 300 to 350. So we do the first show on Thursday, and it was great. There was like 90 something people there, so it was just shy of a sellout. Where you're like, fuck, I wish it would have been nice to, And then Brendan goes on, and there's a girl on her phone.
Is it a 2-person show still?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So Brendan just going up, doing 25, and then I'm doing 45 and getting the hell out of there, right? So one show Thursday, one show Friday, 2 Saturday. So Thursday show, there's a heckler who's on literally heckling Brendan while not looking up from her phone. She's at one of the high tops on the side, and she's literally just on her phone, like, I forgot what the exact interaction was, but just saying something, going like, no, because, while still scrolling on her phone. And Brendan makes it, he interacts with it. He's like, are you on your phone? Well, and it gets like a nice thing. And so you're already like, this is going to be a nightmare. But, and then...
Now she deserves to get hit.
And maybe she does. We'll find out later in the story.
That may be why she's just burying herself in her phone to medicate.
So the manager comes over and goes, hey, not even the people I'm talking about. There's a separate group of people. They were like two middle-aged, 50s women with big hair, and they're like, they're probably gonna be an issue. They've been chirping a lot, so you just, I go, if I talk to them, that's how you know that they're gone. Like, get them out of there, So he was like, okay, because I'm like, they look like they're having fun, but they're more just like, they're you go, that kind of very encouraging, but like ruining the momentum or whatever. So I go on stage. The set's going pretty okay. There's the first couple minutes where I'm like, I hadn't been on stage in like a week and a half. So you have that thing of like trying to get out of the fucking slow mud, like, knee deep. So I get out of that. And then at one part I start talking about the vaccine, right? And that woman who was on her phone just goes, I was like, who here got the vaccine? And a bunch of people clap and stuff. And I'm talking to this woman right next to the woman who was heckling Brendan. And I go,
Were they old people that clapped?
There were a range of people. So the woman that I'm talking to is probably in like her 30s, and then the woman that heckled Brendan and is about to heckle me she's probably in her late 40s. So she goes, so they're right next to each other, the person who got the vaccine and this woman. And I go, oh, you got the vaccine? Like, are you a health professional? And she's like, yeah, I'm a frontline worker. I'm a nurse. Everybody does a nice applause, that kind of a thing. The second the applause stops, she goes, I'm not getting the vaccine. Nope. Fuck that. You'd have to be a fucking idiot to get the vaccine. Like, literally within 2 feet of this nurse and you're like, so instantly I start going, I start making fun of her, and I'm talking to her, and I can't believe that I'm like, oh, so you wouldn't get it? And she goes, would you get it? Would you get it? And I was like, well, I mean, I'm going to see. I'm not even eligible to get it till probably the summer. And then when it does, if it looks like it's going to be okay, I'll probably get it. And then I make fun of her for a little while. She's kind of fucking talking. You can tell she's shit-faced. She's with her husband, who also looks like, Florida tan and shit-faced. So I start going back into a joke. She interrupts again. She goes, you didn't answer my question, though. You didn't answer my question. And I go, I did. And then I just had that moment where I go, I don't think you came here for comedy.
Yeah.
And then she was like, matter of fact, I did. I was like, I would guess that you got free tickets and that you have been drinking for a number of hours before this and probably will continue long after the show is over and you're embarrassing yourself, whatever the fuck. And then she starts going like, no, I did actually. And we paid way too much money for thee. And then the security's walking her out. And so then once she starts getting escorted out, the other guy starts fucking chirping up. He starts saying something with her on the way out. They were literally, I forgot this, they were making out hardcore, like before they heckled, right? So they're leaving. The one dude like fist bumps the high top of the guy behind them, and the guy just kind of gives like an okay, pal kind of a thing. So they leave.
Trying to bring some innocent dude into it.
Yeah, right? Exactly that. So she's super like just shark-eyed.
That lady definitely just like lost access to her Facebook account for the night.
Yeah.
She was like, all right, I'm bringing it to the streets.
So yeah, she was very shark-eyed. She was just like, she got kicked out. She talked the whole way walking out of the thing. So now it's kind of like chaos. I make fun of them. I'm like, how much better is the energy in here? And everyone claps and we're like, all right, fuck them. And like, I did this whole thing where I waited just until the dude, because he was kind of like big, but he was still almost like 50, but he was fucking looked like he was like the Flavor Saver, like soul patch kind of a thing, like looking to fight kind of a guy.
Yeah.
So I literally watched until the swinging doors until he walked out. I'm like, yeah, you better fucking leave.
Pussy.
Yeah, I did like that whole thing. So I go back into the show and I start doing more jokes, and then and then you can just tell the energy is still off. Everyone's kind of, it's not a cohesive group. The little pockets of people talking now. So I try to get people back in together. I just start doing some crowd work to try and talk to people, and I ask a question to the thing, because what I was gonna do when checks came out, I was gonna ask people. I was like, do you think sharks have tongues from this podcast? I was like, let me see what the crowd thinks, just to get them to be like, what is he talking about? So I say that right as before, because I thought checks were coming out. Checks hadn't
Some guy would have been like, card shark.
Which, by the way, this is 25 minutes into the set. So it's like, that's when checks are supposed to come out. And I thought I saw a woman come out and do checks. So I'm like, let me just do like the crowd work stuff now to do checks, plus all of this chaos. So I asked the crowd, I go, do anybody think sharks have tongues? The guy who got fist bumped, who was sitting behind the other high top, he just goes like this, "Who cares?" And I looked at him and I went, man, you're a bad guy too. I thought that you were just an innocent guy that got pulled into the fist bump shrapnel and he dragged you into his bullshit. But you're a piece of shit too. I can't fucking believe it, man. And I was like, I'm so disappointed in you. And that got like a nice laugh and everything. And then that guy, he was still kind of being like, you got me. Like he was anything. But you're like, what did you think this was? You just screamed, who cares? Like it just turns into a whole thing. And then the checks dropped at 40 minutes, which is, by the way, so I'm like, so the whole
crescendoing.
So the whole rest of the set, I spend another 15 minutes trying to get the group back together, and it's not as good.
Do you know how? Let's explain this a little bit, just because it obviously is it's a foreign thing to most people that don't have to do it. But like, pretend you are a woman, or you're trying to make a woman come. You know when they say I'm almost there, but really it's 5 more minutes, and you gotta give them everything you got.
Yeah.
That's the last 5 minutes of a 45-minute set.
Yeah.
You got to do the exact same fucking thing to land the goddamn plane.
Exactly.
And anything can throw it off, including checks.
And checks take 10 to 15 minutes in a room, so it's hard to do it at the end so I literally accounted for time in which they would be doing checks that I could talk to the audience and then get them back and ready for the big crescendo. But now I could just see I have no momentum. Everybody, it feels like I put my arms out like in a big circle on a table, and then someone dropped 4,000 marbles onto the table, and I had to keep them all contained in a little area, and they were all going underneath my hands and arms.
And your arms are way too thin to do.
But they are long.
They are long.
Scoop.
I would rather flab though, because they would create better skin levies.
Are you sure? Because I feel like a flab would kind of be like Play-Doh underneath it and then go under.
No, because
I'm bone, so it's just fucking.
Yeah, I know, but you'd cut it sharper, and more would maybe stay inside. But the flab would not only stop the ones under their arm in their tracks, but it would also then create a higher level pool where the marbles could then.
The other ones would bounce off
up
the arm to go in the other direction because of such...
No, it's not elastic. If anything, it would maybe sink in and roll to the inside. Bulbous. Disgusting.
So, I pretty much end the set with a root-a-toot-to-do and have a good one kind of a thing. Because it's just, I stumble to the finish. I say my last joke. They're all looking down like, what? And I'm like, good night, everybody. And they're just going like... So you had the soup, like no one's paying attention.
You came soft.
Yeah. So
I know that exact feeling.
So I just got the fuck out of there and was like, Jesus Christ, like that sucked. So we were like, let's just get out of here. And the women that they said were going to be there.
Get out. It's such a funny thing to say while you're staying in a casino, and the last thing you're doing is getting out of there.
So the two women that they thought were going to be a problem, one ended up getting kicked out. I didn't even notice. They weren't even the biggest issue. It was just people on the high tops. And then Brendan and I.
So the high top guy started the thing that got the initial couple kicked out, or they were the biggest problem on the way out?
Oh, well, there was the two high tops. There was the biggest people, the problem makers were the people who got kicked out. The shark-eyed woman and the guy.
Okay.
And the couple behind them were just like their age and probably might be their friends or something, but stayed for the show. So that was that sucked, and I was like, God damn, I was just in such a terrible place after that. It was like, the first show of the new year, you're headlining, you want it to go good, and it's just like a total mind fuck, So we hang out at the bar for a little while. We're hanging out with the staff. We're talking to them and whatnot. And then I think we kind of just wandered around the casino because we're like, actually, you know what? It wasn't even that. We hung out for a little while, and then Brendan had to go back to his room to watch like a cut of his album that's coming out. Or is already out. So it comes out tomorrow if you're watching live. But if not,
buy it tomorrow. There is no pre-order link. It's coming out Friday the 27th. Buy that shit. Brendan Sagalow.
Not now, more than ever.
Damn right.
And so he had to go back and watch a preview of that. So we only hung out at the bar for like 45 minutes or an hour or something. And then we go back home. And as we're going to the elevator banks, everybody in the elevator banks now, because, there's only like 2 to 4 people in an elevator. So there's it kind of being a line sometimes, a bottlenecking of that, right? So we go all the way to the other side of the casino where we're staying. And we go to these elevator banks. And there are 4 people waiting for the elevators Who do you think those 4 people are? You know it's the shark-eyed woman and her boyfriend and the other 2, and they just immediately see us because we're wearing the same show clothes, right? And she, of course, comes right up to me, and she goes, "You were funny until you weren't." Like that to me.
Yeah.
And then I go,
Hey, I bet you were hot till you weren't, too. I bet you once were worth this hassle, but not anymore, you fucking leather-skinned bitch.
So the guy comes up to Brendan and I, and he's standing, like, Brendan and I are standing shoulder to shoulder, and he comes up to Brendan and I, and he starts talking to Brendan in a purposefully dismissive way where he's acting as though I am Swayze in Ghost, as though I don't exist. And he goes, "Hey man, you were actually really good because you understand. And we live in the Far Rockaways, and we didn't always live there, but we live there in the Far Rockaways now. You know about the Far Rockaways, right?" And Brendan's like, "Yeah, totally, man, totally." And he's like walking into the elevator and then walking back. He's like, "'Cause you get it, 'cause you get it." And like literally, I'm just doesn't look at me, doesn't acknowledge my existence the one time. And then I have that.
God.
And then I have that thing where I'm like, a part of me, and I said this to the staff too, where I'm like, a part of me always, when you're in that heckling thing, I was like, I really wish I went, you have that moment where you go, where I go full nuclear, where you destroy the show just to kind of really, like, I always wish I was meaner, essentially. In this case, I threw him some jabs. I definitely didn't let him get away with anything, but like, I definitely didn't feel like I gave him the haymakers I wanted to, but the staff and the management was like, we actually appreciate you doing that because, it could usually really cause the show in chaos.
I am the worst Muhammad Atta out there, buddy. As soon as some asshole is just an unrelenting twat that cannot be taught a proper lesson because he has no shame, I just fucking point the nose to the ground and I bring about however many other people with me.
Yeah. It was just one of those things where like it was set up a bad week. Then I went and played poker and lost everything, but I lost the money I went
Everything.
and then I played poker and lost everything. I lost the money I've gambled with, so it was just a really shitty first day of the thing. But then I went back to the room, and thankfully I read all these 5-star reviews that we have, and that really cheered me back up. So guys, leave a 5-star review on iTunes if you haven't. Tell your goddamn friends about the podcast. I don't understand. I was supposed to be owning a house in Bel Air by now. It doesn't make sense.
I would just like, a place to live. Yeah. I would love for my family to have a place to live.
Yeah, so I don't understand what's taking you guys so long, but just go ahead and tell everybody about the show, and you're going to want to hear, we have the 10 most recent episodes plus 5 classic episodes available always on iTunes. If you want to hear all of them, we have over 200. Go to gasdigitalnetwork.com, use the code IGP. You get a 2-week free trial. You get to listen to all of our episodes, all the video, all the other episodes on the network, all their videos. Also gives you a discount to podcast merch, which we have hoodies. We got t-shirts, and they're there, and they're ready for you. Buy them up. We got the Yes Very Progressed, the Supreme one, the Pub Tea, the Popeyes. It's fucking, they're very soft. Highly recommend.
Coming soon, new t-shirt. It's a hangman thing, but with my face. Oh, yeah. On a shirt, and it says, "Finally."
All proceeds will go to fund the funeral. And so, guys, just please, spread the word about the podcast. We love doing it for you guys, and we think the more people will enjoy, the better. And also, if you guys want even more of us, you can go to our Patreon. Check out, now, here's the scenario. Formerly, what's the scenario? Legal issues. Here's the scenario. So check out patreon.com/scenario-pod. That's where Mike, myself, and Brendan answer hypotheticals, what ifs, all that jazzery.
Yeah.
And fucking what else? You can go to my YouTube page if you want, youtube.com/Mike Feeney Comedy. I'm putting out content every week. Same on my Instagram, social media I am Mike Feeney. Share the videos, share the clips, leave a comment, even if it's like a dumb emoji or a thumb up or something like that, and DM
it bumps it.
Yeah, and DM to a few friends. That really helps because it helps expand. Once you send, this is like really getting technical inside baseball, stupid bullshit social media, but if you have a video on Instagram that you see and you send it to your other friend or to a couple group chats of people that are in that, what that does is then the algorithm shows that you're sending to strangers, and these strangers like it, and if they like it in the chat, then the Instagram will go, they must like Mike Feeney, so we're going to show him more shit, and we're going to show more people that they like or like them Mike Feeney. So it's a whole dumb algorithm butterfly effect that you're creating.
Yeah, we need you. Also, at I am Mike Cannon, or Mike Cannon Comedy on YouTube as well. Also, I would love all 4 of those people to come to one of my shows at Comics Mohegan Sun, February 4th through the 6th.
Yeah.
I'm headlining that weekend, so come out to that. Very excited. I think it's 3 shows right now with the potential to add a 4th early show Saturday. So come out to that, and then I think more dates are actually coming in. I'm finalizing a few now, but yeah, just pass around our shit, comment, do all that stuff. Thank you so much for all the support, and you
Watch
guys
our
are
stand-up specials.
Yeah, watch our specials again and again,
And get Brendan's.
Oh, and definitely get Brendan's. That's right. Coming out. What is it? The 27th.
It's out
right?
now. Yeah,
It's out. It's out tomorrow if you're listening on
22nd.
Thursday. Now, if you're listening on Monday when it comes out to the masses, by Brendan Sagalow. What is it?
If not now, more than ever.
I keep thinking it's something to not now more than ever. It's hilarious. It's a great album. I've listened to it. It's he's a long-standing guest, best pal of the show. Support our bud, and let's help bump his shit up to number 1. That would be great.
I think I have to double check this. I might be speaking out of my ass here, but I'm pretty sure I gave him that title for that because he
Nice.
was saying he was going to do a rooftop thing, and he had some title for it where he was like, I think he was calling it Not Now or something like that. And I was like, more than ever. And then he was like, ah! And he just write it down.
I hope I'm not
I'm
speaking...
taking credit for it.
I hope I'm not speaking out of turn when I say this. I wrote 41 of the minutes.
It's crazy because I think it's 39. So
He rushed a few.
yeah. Alex, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at I am Alex Scar, and check out my podcast, Broad Topics, TOPIX, with Kim Congdon, right here on gasdigitalnetwork.com/live every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Or you could catch it for free on iTunes and YouTube every Monday.
Hell yeah. So do you have anything, and do you want me to just keep plowing through this?
I mean, I'll be at Uncle Vinny's too if you're listening live.
Oh, yeah.
I'm opening for Lewis actually this whole week. And last night, so I'll do a brief thing because I think I'm retiring the R word. I've just been throwing it around way too much lately. And last night, for whatever reason, it was Lewis's crowd, and of course, Chris Fago was up before me, and he spoke about his mentally disabled brother with compassion and vulnerability, and made it hilarious. And then I just called a bunch of people retards for 8 minutes. This guy in the front row, they were sitting there, and I'm like, how do you guys know each other? Whatever. I'm talking to them, and they're like, we work at the same grocery store. And I'm like, what are you, retards? I'm like, what are you, one of those guys that wears the fucking crooked bunny ears at the door of Walmart, but you wear it around your chin? And they're like, it's the crown of the head, Spencer. And I went off on this whole tangent, and one of the kids was fucking autistic.
Oh, no.
So I just he didn't care, but I left there.
How did you know that?
Because Joe, the host of the place, told me. And I left heartbroken because I didn't want to fucking hurt anybody's feelings.
Right.
It turns out I didn't, but it hurt my feelings thinking I hurt somebody's feelings.
Of course.
So I gotta just fucking...
He didn't feel anything.
He never has.
I get it. I get why we are where we are.
Yeah, I even begged them. I told you last night, but I told a story about how I had an epiphany mid-set that I've been depressed for 2 months, and I was just I didn't know what I was doing on stage. I felt like I was in a stranger's body. I had no fucking flow or anything, and I was just leaving there in such a cloud of crazy, and I didn't know how to do stand-up, so I just resorted to calling 3 people retards for 8 minutes.
Did it work?
Yeah, kinda. That's the worst part is it's sometimes positively
It's
reinforced.
my new closer. Yeah.
I mean, I'll retire it after the album's out.
Can I just say this really fast? This is just an observation I made about casinos. Do you realize that casinos are the only structure that when they close, they get them exploded?
What?
When a dry cleaning goes out of business, they just go out of business. When a casino goes out of business, they blow it up with a million things of dynamite.
Well, I mean, could you
They
imagine?
always blow them up.
Could you imagine if, in a strip mall, one of 8 shops, a laundromat, goes out of business? They're like, sorry, this is the only way we could do this. And they just blow that one fucking place up?
But why does it even have to be blown up?
What are you gonna do? Pour acid on it?
Would just if any building goes out of business, they don't just blow it up, or there's new owners. It's only casinos they blow up.
No, stadiums.
They blow up Yankee Stadium. They took apart like a row at a time.
Alex, what else do people blow up?
Do things blow up outside of casinos?
Do they blow up casinos?
They blow up casinos.
I don't know why. I was like, yeah, you're right. And I'm like, I've never seen a casino
yes, you
blow
have.
up.
Pull up a casino, blow up pig. There's a lot of them. There's so many of them.
What do you mean? Where?
There's all the ones in Vegas were all the ones that died, and all those ones in Jersey too. I think the Taj
Best
Mahal
part
was
about
one,
Vegas
and
is
maybe
Old
Trump.
Vegas.
Old Vegas.
I love Old Vegas. That the Horseshoe Casino where they used to play the World Series of Poker. Man, that entire place, I was fucking blacked out on that strip.
You're like, awesome. I don't even know if I liked it.
I did. I mean, it was one of the more fun days I've ever had.
All right, what do we got here? Top 10
The
Vegas.
Aladdin.
That's how many Vegas casino demolitions there are. This is only the top 10.
Whoa.
See? They always explode them.
That's like sexy a little bit.
It is. It's very satisfying to watch. I just don't understand why those are the only businesses that get exploded. Or demolished, I guess, but exploded, it's funnier to say.
Castaways. I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
See?
Wow.
There they go. It's like, couldn't you just put a new sign up there and keep it the building?
But they want to start anew.
I guess.
There's so much stripper blood on the inside.
But like
They
if a
just
McDonald's goes out of business and they're in their own set of land, they don't blow up the McDonald's. They take down the sign and remodel the inside.
Do you know why they probably do? Well, remodeling is likely more expensive because also they have to change up the entire security schematic. Do you know what I mean? Like they have to make it different so nobody is privy to their security measures.
It's very weird. It's very bizarre. Wild.
I don't know if what I said, did that make sense?
I mean, I don't think it did, but then I realized I was like, I don't
Because
think
fucking Danny Ocean might come back after a 15-year bid and rob the goddamn
they definitely
place.
don't keep the same security system. But
They just keep the same staff too.
so that was just something I noticed. But I'm gonna skip just to Saturday real quick, just to say that Saturday was great. We ended up having two.
Why are you skipping? I don't know.
Because I'm gonna go back to Friday's the day with the story. There's nothing to talk
okay.
about Saturday. Saturday was the. You know what? I'll save it. You're
No,
right.
no.
You're right. No, it makes sense to go in order because then it's a fun thing.
Okay.
Maybe not. All right. You know what? Saturday. Let's talk
My
Saturday.
heart hurts.
Oh, can I have more of this? I am very thirsty. Anyway, Saturday the shows were fucking great. They were both great. 2 sellout shows, which was awesome because it helped me hit a bonus, which felt good even during the pandemic. I understand that the capacity is significantly shorter, but it's nice to still hit a bonus during a pandemic. It feels good. And the last show, when does this ever fucking happen? The last show of the week was the best show of the weekend.
Wow.
So we got to go from that Thursday horror show. What am I doing? This sucks. It's going to be such a long weekend. And I lost money playing poker. Now, Saturday, 2 sold out shows. Both shows were great.
Priceless.
That last show, Lost in the Sauce, was there. Our listener, Enrique.
Our fellow friend.
Yeah, he was there. He came out. It was a great show.
It's amazing that he went to Uncasville.
Yep.
But Coney Island was too far.
It's probably, thank you. It's probably the same distance. So it was awesome. It was just such a great show. It was one of those things where I think after the first show I had a drink, so I had 1 drink in me, so I was fucking talking to people and shutting people up, immediately slamming other people. I walked out just fucking, I was like, I'm not, none of this Thursday bullshit again. I'm coming out I'm coming out pistols drawn.
They're like, please don't.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
look exactly like those.
But it, all of them, yeah. So, but it was great. I just love when the show ends. The last show of the weekend's a good one, so that was awesome.
That's
so
great.
now, rewind a little bit, Pulp Fiction, back to Friday. One show, this was the Mushroom Night. So we do the second show of the week, better than Thursday, because anything is going to be, but, not as good as Saturday was. So we're going to do the show, do the mushrooms, whatever. So we go back up, we take the mushrooms, and then we start walking around the casino. Because here's the thing that's different about the last time that we went and all the other times that we went, even when we were there in August or something. There was our whole plan was we're going to be we know what we'll do. We do just what we did last time. We fucking go, take the mushrooms, go down to that fucking arcade, glow-in-the-dark bowling alley, blacklight thing, stay there until it starts, and then explore, right? So we're all in our good mood, and we're excited and anxious or whatever. We walk over to the arcade, which we saw people going in and out of, and then right as we walk up there, it was closed 20 minutes ago. So immediately we go, oh, fuck, now what do we do? And now we look at the clock, it's 10 o'clock, so the like the comedy clubs closed by 10. All of the bars and restaurants are closed by 10, except for like one or two that are like a nightclub. So everything is closed.
That's the worst feeling. You're like, what are we gonna do? You feel that little like mushroom vomit.
So there's nothing we can do besides just walk for hours.
Yeah.
Which is what we ended up doing. So we're just walking around the casino. We're doing full laps. I mean, we must have walked 30,000 steps that night. So we're just kind of, and the worst part is
Sopranos, where he's just walking around on peyote.
Yes, but here's the worst part is that these took fucking forever to kick in. Because at like an hour in, I'm like, anything? You? Nothing? And we're just like, nope, not really. You know, so you start doing that thing where you're like,
Did you smoke?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But so that's what the kind of thing, too, where you're hard to tell. But then you do that thing where you're like, we were like, oh, I'm seeing something. Am I? You know what I mean? Like, you're wondering if you're forcing it or if you're just like, no, I'm just fine. You know? Like
It's like the first time you drink a wine cooler, then you're like, oh, I'm shit faced. And then you're like, oh, I'm cool, actually.
Yeah. So I start to, this was like an hour and like 20 in. It was like long in. I start being like, okay, I'm starting to feel something in this.
How much did you eat?
Double the amount from last time on
What
paper.
was
So so an eighth each.
Oh, good.
So a full eighth.
Oh, yeah. Fun time.
Full eighth. And last time, Alex.
You're on King Dakar.
Did you take the eighth all at once at the beginning? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I took the eighth all at once. Last time I took a 16th, and it was a good time. I didn't see any visuals. But
Do you know
whatever.
what I heard of recently, though? Is that somebody boiled theirs up and injected it into their veins.
Oh no!
They died.
They died.
Yeah, I heard that
died.
too. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you can't mess with your fucking blood oxygen levels and all that shit. That's
Glad you
crazy.
didn't do that.
Yeah. We'd have so many bigger problems if I was injecting
I would rather
mushrooms.
stick it up my ass than just spike it.
I'd
into
rather
my vein.
eat it dry out of the shit than have to inject anything into than to get a vitamin B12 shot ever again. I would so whatever. So I'm like starting to feel something, but I'm like pretty upset because I was like, you know, we were expecting to be fucking rocketed because we took again double last time and the effects are way lighter. So but I am still feeling a little like
What time was it by the time?
now it's
kicking?
probably like 11:30 or something.
Wow.
So it's like it's late. And everything's closed and we're just kind of like, this sucks, but whatever, we're just having fun walking around the casino bullshit and everything. So at one point I'm like, you start to feel a little weird, a little like uncomfortable being around public and other people and stuff, not to mention it's a pandemic. So I go into the bathroom, and Alex, this is where I'll need those pictures in the near future. So I go into the bathroom and there is, you know, they space out all the urinals and then all of the stalls and stuff. And as I'm walking up, there's a very narrow kind of like pathway to get to the urinals. And there's a kid who's got to be 22, 23, boat shoes, like polo shirt, absolute shark eye shit face, just like gone, like blackout Friday
Sweating.
night with his boys, sweating, and he is just like
Wet hair.
and he's just super fucked up. So I go to the urinal, and I'm standing like 3 or 4 feet from him, and I'm looking like at him out of the corner of my eye because I hear him going, whoa, what's this? Holy shit! And what he's doing is there is a bio waste pail.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bio waste pail that's mounted onto the wall at like eye level, and that's it.
Yeah.
And he is going, whoa, there's a lot of gross shit in here, and then puts his hands in and starts taking things out. That's how drunk he is with his empty hand. He's pulling out needles.
Run.
He's pulling out I'm in midstream. Where am I going to go? I'm midstream.
Piss on him or something.
So he's going, and he's talking to his friend Corey. He goes, Corey, there's a lot of fucking crazy shit in here, man. Flipping, right? Exactly. So I'm doing what you're doing, going, I gotta get the fuck
Oh my god.
out of here. I gotta get the fuck out of here. And all of a sudden, as he's talking to that kid Corey, who has obviously had enough of his shit and had heard this kid being a problem for the last, I imagine, number of hours, because the kid is
Was
just
Corey shitting?
Corey was washing his hands at the sink. It was just like, just don't do that, man. Just fucking don't. And he was like,
he was watching him do it.
he was trying to ignore him, and then
Yeah.
his friend was just trying to like be like, hey, look at me, like attention seeking, you know? So his buddy's just like, dude, just come on, man, just fucking leave it alone. Like it's kind of yelling
Yeah,
at
yeah.
him. And then the guy Corey walks out of the bathroom, and he starts going like, so he's taking out all of the things off, and then he starts going, Corey. and he like shadow boxes it once. He's like, poof, poof, poof. Then he starts putting all of his weight behind his punches against this vaccine, this bio thing, and he goes, and he's going like this. He's going, Corey, punching it, dude. He fucking. And I have to walk past him like this. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I have to walk past him like that on mushrooms while I'm like vulnerable, and I'm literally my elbow. His head is my head is close to his elbow as he's pulling it back, punching the thing. And now, Alex, pull up the video.
That guy is more of a threat than Harambe was to that child. Like a fucking casino security guard would be well within their right to put a dart in his fucking neck.
Yeah, 100%. And
dude, that is.
Yeah, not only was he pulling it up, but then shattering it and punching it, and he's bleeding because he's doing that. Pull up the pictures.
So he's bleeding with needles.
There's one. Look at all the needle. Look, see how he punched it off kilter? That's the top of it that he punched right off of it. Now go back.
Is that blood on the top of it?
I don't know, but go back to the other one. So that's like needle shit on the ground that fell out, and then go up to the other, like the picture of the pail itself.
Did he pull out needles?
Yes, he was pulling out and look, see how it was like where that gray is where it was mounted, and he like off fucking centered it by punching it so hard. And then I had to walk out of the bathroom and go up to Sagalow, who's like, bleh, like staring at the casino. I'm like, you don't know what just happened in there, man. And he's like, what? And I told him the whole thing. He goes, no fucking way. And I was like, let's go back into the bathroom because I need to take pictures of this because no one's going to fucking believe me. And then we saw that kid come out of the bathroom, and we saw him like actually later on in the night.
Needles fucking out of the middle of his forehead.
Like, his hands were bleeding, and you're like, you had needles, and you were touching things, and you were bloodied, and like, which is blood is from that, which is from being stabbed with needle points, and fucking but dude, it was like a horror movie watching him going, Corey, just screaming, dude. It was bone chilling.
I don't know how I feel. This is the most alive I've felt in a while. It's also like I'm grossed out.
Yeah.
Beyond belief. Like that. Dude, that is real, like, Saw 3 reach into a fucking...
that's exactly Saw 3.
Dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, and that's the type of person that shows up to a comedy show and goes, if you get a vaccine, you're retarded. Yeah. God, I have to stop saying it. So you know what I mean.
But it was just like, we saw him later. He was like with his friend, and he was just like menacingly mumbling, and they're like... they're just being like angry and shit. And so now we're like, 2 hours in, or like, I wrote down that like 2 hours and 40 minutes. We were basically like, it was kind of a dud. Nothing really happened. Like we got the very small effects of it. It would be like as if we took almost like a micro dosing is what it felt like, which was super frustrating. But so
that's kind of how I felt on my last golf thing. Where like the only reason, so I took this, whatever little pill of it, and then I also chased it with a 90 milligram edible, and that I think the edible accentuated it to a point where it like nearly touched, but wasn't quite there, and I was just kind of uncomfortable.
Well, that was the same thing, with us smoking. Like we're like heavy legged, but we're like we've also been walking for 3 hours. You know what I mean? It's like, and we performed. Like I'm just tired. I'm very tired. So we're like we'll go like do we ended up getting Krispy Kreme. That's why I was there. We ended up getting Krispy Kreme, get a donut and a little chocolate milk, and then we're like, all right, whatever, let's call it a night. It is what it is. And so we go back to the elevators now, and we're just waiting for this is the last of our journey here. And there was the elevators come down. We're the only ones waiting for it, right? The elevators come down, and then a group of friends come out of it. Mm-hmm. But one of them is a woman who is 20s, Asian, and her friends keep walking, and she is like, I'm not, just like the Ring hair, like looking down, hair.
That was a Japanese movie at first.
Yes, pin straight hair. Looking like you could see one of her eye, like the chick from The Boys, almost, just like this, looking down like this, and
wow, so you could only see a 16th of an eye.
Yeah, so there's at least 3 drops that should be there's one. That's one of them. So she like gets out while making direct unflinching eye contact with me. And then, and Brendan's like, I think on his phone or something like that. So he's not even paying attention. So she gets out. I go in. She turns around without saying anything and comes back in the elevator with me. And Brendan's just like on his phone. So he's just kind of like periphery waiting for the person to leave the elevator. So he doesn't see. So she just like fucking hard stomps back in the elevator and stares at me. So I get out of the elevator. She stays in it and just stares. Brendan, who again is never on his phone except always,
especially when something uncomfortable is happening.
Yeah, he gladly just walks right into it, and then she follows him in, and then she went like this to me. Like this, like just come here, pull him in, like shit face, like we go elevator now. Like it was just like a caveman like walking, and then Brendan looks at her, and then like as the door's like almost closing, and I press the button so it opens again because otherwise they would have got stuck with her. And I go, Brendan, get out. And he's like, what the fuck was that? And I was like, yeah, dude.
He just instantly just goes back to his phone. He's like, must not feel.
Yeah,
must not feel.
He's just like listening to voice memos. But yeah, so that was just an insane circumstance. It was just two real fucking weird moments in an otherwise weird weekend as a whole. Just a weird weekend.
Oh my God. And I mean, imagine if the mushrooms worked. Like really worked.
I'd still be in that bathroom.
Dude. I think I've told that on the podcast before, but I was like retelling my mom this story about how, do you remember that day that I had with my friend Brendan, not Sagalow, my non-comedy Brendan, and it was like the most romantic day I've ever had in my entire life. It started at the Knicks game. We got drunk at a noon game. It was Super Bowl Sunday.
Right.
We got drunk at a noon game. We then went to his office where we each took an eighth of mushrooms. We took the train up to the Museum of Natural History and we're like tripping balls getting off of the one train. And of course, as soon as I'm going to walk up the steps, a woman asks me to carry her stroller up the steps. I'm fucking hallucinating balls and Brendan's just filming me at the top of the thing. And then once we got into the museum, some two Asian people asked me to take their picture in front of the big fucking dinosaur in the main lobby, and I pressed it, and it was on time lapse, and I like screamed and threw the phone in the air and ran into the museum.
I love that where you just go, I don't know.
It was a phone I've never seen before. I mean, it may have been like, you know those futuristic phones that they used to have before the iPhone came out that they'd like guess what the cool phones would be in the future?
Yeah.
And it'd have like a hologram and Obi-Wan with his cock out or something like that. Like it just looked insane, like an Audi car what is it? Concept car. Yeah. And that's what this phone was. It was like straight out of the Wuhan labs and I couldn't even I couldn't function it at all, plus mushrooms.
Yeah.
And then he took me back to his apartment, made me tacos, and we watched the Super Bowl.
Sounds lovely.
God, it was the best.
Much better than my experience, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, I just needed to
Thank
cleanse
God
your
for
palate.
Saturday. That's what I was saying. So that's why I said, thank God that Saturday happened, because even that trip was the trip was a little disappointing. The weekend was leading into a very, disappointing weekend, but then Saturday really saved me. It was great.
Good.
So
I mean, I'm looking forward to hopefully tonight and Friday, Saturday. I need to get into some groove of performing because I just, a lot of shit got canceled towards the end of the year, especially, and I was going to film that thing, and it snowed, and that threw off all this stuff, and I actually felt kind of ready, and now I'm just, all over the map. I was on stage last night. I think I got through, 30 minutes of material in 11 minutes. I just didn't know how to do comedy, and I'm, hopefully going to remember over the next 3 nights.
Yes.
Come out to Uncle Vinny's tonight. Tonight, Friday, and
Ringing
Saturday.
endorsement. I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean,
don't
Lewis
know.
has never remembered how to do comedy, so at least you'll see somebody fighting for it.
There you go. And who else was on the show, too?
No, it's a great show. It's Zach Amico, Chris Fega, me, and Lewis. It's awesome. Plus Joe Weber, the host.
Plus Joe. Oh, it's a fun show.
It's super fun. And and Voss was there last night, and he might stop by for the rest of the weekend. Who knows?
I like that.
Yeah, it's a great hang.
Did you go on stage with him?
I did not. No. Are you kidding? COVID times with that spittle?
Yeah, it's true.
It's the first time something lands on the bottom of my lip, I'm going to legitimately take a Parmesan cheese grater to my face.
Man, it's just such a fucking weird. It makes you feel so bizarre when you're doing stand-up because you're like, this seems doing stand-up now feels, especially when you get to do it indoors, because it's very rare that we do even get to do that. When you do it indoors, it feels like you're at an old jazz speakeasy. Like you're like, this doesn't. This seems like such a thing of the past, you know?
Right.
That you're like, oh, this is. I'm in nostalgia right now. I'm currently practicing a career in nostalgia.
Well, and it's funny. It's like a lot of people don't necessarily relate to our level of quote unquote lockdown. Do you know what I mean? Because if I even mention quarantine as if it's an ongoing thing for people in Jersey, they're like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what are you talking
you mean
about?
March?
Yeah. They're like back in springtime before summer. Like, no.
Get a new act.
And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but it's been so fucking sporadic and everything has been like postponed or canceled or moved around and just thrown all out of whack that it's all the same fucking thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing about LA is like they're the only place doing worse than New York, but they don't on a day-to-day basis know that because they're like in their backyard, they're hiking, they're seeing the ocean. We're in apartments in New York City or, you're up in Rockland County. So it's like, you're just like, we're in very small places, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it just, it feels isolating to the point of this.
Alex, what do you think about all this?
I mean,
Well, let me tell you something, Mike.
Yeah.
That's her. She literally had her hands up like this as if she had
just turns her rings
a real
before she-
fly girl point to make.
I don't know, all in all, I feel kind of lucky in that like I still get to come to work, like things aren't completely shut down for me. I know that I'd be super depressed if I were stuck in the house all the time. So like as far as how terrible this year has been in general, like I feel like I'm getting off kind of easy.
Yeah.
Oh, and
I mean, it also like, so just this past week when my son was able to hang out with his cousin, like my sister's daughter, it just like, it dawns on you how little socialization they've had with kids their own age, because I'm pretty sure he thought she was a shaved cat for like 4 days. He just didn't know how to handle her. So he'd just be like, Hafa, like, just think right on top of her head and then look at us like, see that? I hit the fur ball.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, she's one of us.
please stop hitting her. Yeah. I had this happen too, where and that's the other thing too with these shows too. Even when you have a couple on the books, like I was supposed to do New York Comedy Club this past week, which they have great, that rooftop. That's where Brendan recorded his album, and it's right in the Flatiron district. It's right near the Flatiron building. So I drive in. I have a Sunday. It's like a 3 p.m. show kind of a thing. So I'm like, oh, this will be good, nice and early. So I take a break from editing and I go into the city. I was being productive. It's like a nice Sunday stroll, no traffic or whatever. I get there, it's like 2:40 or something, and I'm like, oh, I have time to get a coffee. Starbucks is closed. I'm like, I'll go to Italy. So I just walk around Italy, which, by the way, is just an oasis of awesome, man. Every time I go to Italy, I'm like having a great time. I'm looking at it. I'm like, the food's awesome. Everything is so fresh. I got all this positive. I get this coffee, and I'm like, I'm drinking my little espresso, and I go back to my car. I sip it. And I was like, I'm ready to do some fucking comedy. I walk up to New York Comedy Club. The door's not open, which is like, oh, it's always open. That's strange. I don't see anybody in the lobby. I buzz up. No one answers. I buzz up again. Nobody answers. I go on my phone to be like, is it for some reason not at New York Comedy Club? And I had it wrong. Because then you start getting that thing of like, oh, fuck, I'm going to be late if it's not here right now. Because now it's 2:55. And I open my phone and the producer of the show messaged me at 12:30 saying, saying, hey, the show's canceled. We didn't sell enough tickets, but we're going to do another, whatever. But it was because earlier that day, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be productive today. I'm going to be off my phone, and I'm not going to fucking bother with social media. It's toxic. It puts me in a bad headspace. I'm going to be off the phone for the day. So I had that nice drive to the city, my nice stroll around Italy, my nice little cappuccino kind of thing. And then I going on, I was like, if only I was addicted to my phone this entire time, and then I drove into the city to get a coffee and then drove all the way back home.
And that's why Brendan has never missed a cancellation.
That's when you want to make your Irish goodbye.